only people who are denying that are the freaks and the misfits who, it turns out, are themselves a tiny, bizarre minority, a cult, who have controlled the rest of us through fear and aggression. And that has ended. The same way they got away with calling January 6th an insurrection for 3 years, by repeating it and by attacking anyone who disagreed. But it's an illusion. It's the Wizard of Oz. And once you pull back the curtain, the only thing back there is Joe Scarborough. You're like, wait a second. Why am I taking orders from this guy? He's a freak. I'm a normal person. And that realization has settled on this country, on the whole country, and you feel it. People are not afraid anymore at all. It has flipped. The story the country tells itself about reality has flipped. None of the normal people are supporting the Democratic machine. Tim Walz is supporting the Democratic machine. A man you would never allow to babysit your own children. That's the archetype. It's the party of weirdos, of envy, of hate, of resentment, of bitterness, of weakness, of a total lack of creativity. It's a party of conformity. It's a party of the machine, where it doesn't matter who the candidate is because individuals are immaterial. All that matters is the collective. That's the Soviet model. And opposing them is the rest of the country, slowly waking up to the fact that these people have no moral authority whatsoever. They have no legitimacy in a democracy where the government must rule by the consent of the governed. They have no consent. And the way that they've treated this country over the past 4 years is the most shocking thing I've ever seen in 55 years.
Welcome to High Cheese. It's Friday, October 25th, 2024. And that was Tucker Carlson at the TPA rally on Wednesday this week. A massive rally in Georgia. About 20,000 people showed up indoors. And Tucker was on top of his game. Tucker Carlson articulated clearly where we are at this point in time in the United States. And we have to do our part right now. We have to go out and vote. Vote early, get people to go with you to vote early. But it is now up to us. It's time to take the country back from a small group of elites trying to take this country over. And Tucker did a great job articulating this. Now I'm going to go back to a couple more clips with him, but just he was on top of his game. And now it's up to us, the American people. Donald Trump has done everything he can do. A vast group of Americans have done everything that they can do. And now it's up to us. And our role is to go out and vote. Donald Trump is up in the polls in all of the swing states. He has the momentum, but don't get overconfident. You still have to go out and vote. And Tucker was so good. I want to play a couple more clips because he was that good.
They tore down statues to their memory. People have never built anything in their lives. They went out of their way to humiliate you and spit on you and the graves of your ancestors. And that's not an exaggeration. They did that. And this country is so nice. It's so polite. It's so thoughtful and empathetic and sweet. It's the kind of country that loves dogs and gives directions to strangers that we put up with it for 4 years. But we can't anymore. We just can't. And we can't for two reasons. The first reason that we can't put up with it for one more minute is because it's just not justice. It's not. It's not justice. It's unfair. You cannot reward the most parasitic, useless, violent, nasty, aggressive people in your country. You can't make them the richest. You just can't. It's just wrong. In a fair, decent country, the people who work the hardest, who have the highest level of talent, who are the most creative, who are the most decent to their neighbors, who give the biggest tips to waitresses, those people should be successful. Those people should be revered. It shouldn't be Larry Fink. Are you joking? Kamala Harris shouldn't have a job. She has no skills. How did we wind up with a system where Kamala Harris, you couldn't change the tire on your truck, much less drive it? How did she wind up at the top of the pyramid? And then once she's there, she lectures you like you did something. It's too much. You can't allow that. It's an offense against the truth, against reality, and against justice itself. And the second reason you can't allow it is very familiar to anyone who has children, which is if you allow it, you will encourage more of it.
And this was just an excellent moment by Tucker. Now let's take a look at Kamala. What are they doing? They're reaching for straws. They're desperate. Kamala this week has an emergency press conference in response to a book by Donald Trump's former chief of staff, where he said that Donald Trump meets the definition of a fascist. And Kamala has a press conference. And let's go to a quick clip of this press conference, and then we'll come back and discuss.
Clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas.
And this is why Kamala has an emergency press conference to talk about this. This is all staged. This was all coordinated. Kelly was coming out with the book, say terrible things about Donald Trump. And then Kamala was going to go, oh my God, we have to have an emergency conference because Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. He's a fascist. And they're falling back on all of these debunked caricatures of Donald Trump. But what really gets me is that there have been 2 assassination attempts on Trump. And you've got Kamala Harris ginning up the hatred for Donald Trump. And she doesn't care what the repercussions are. Because at this point, it's all about stopping Trump by any means necessary. And I think that's dangerous. But like Tucker Carlson said, we've got evil, greedy people that want power at any cost in charge right now. Now, Kamala's campaign is sinking. She tried to resurrect it with another CNN town hall meeting where we got more of the same. Blah, 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 blah. Better known as word salad. And with that said, I want to go to a couple of clips where Kamala continues the word salad. No one knows what the heck she is talking about. Now, the first clip is about her previously calling Trump's border wall stupid, while at the same time, a bill that she was proposing sets aside money for a border wall. So Anderson Cooper wants to know, well, what's going on here? And listen to the word salad response.
You're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
And she's just all over the place. I don't think that she even believes in anything. And that's why we get word salad. I want the border wall. I don't want the border wall. The border wall is stupid, but I want to fund it. And the next clip I want to play is total word salad. Cooper asked her about, well, you had 3.5 years to fix problems. So why didn't you do it? And her response was more word salad.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done.
Oh, boy, what a mess. And she can't even get support from the talking heads at CNN. I'm going to go to a clip with David Axelrod, talking head at CNN, former Obama advisor. And he's critical of Kamala. So let's go to the clip.
The things that would concern me is when she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city. And she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking.
And even Dana Bash gets in on it.
I'll just tell you what I'm hearing from people who I have been talking to, and that is that if her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that.
And most political people will tell you that this far into the election, 2 weeks to go, and your candidate is sinking like Kamala's sinking, you won't be able to recover. Now, they're going to cheat. They're going to try to cheat. But the response from Donald Trump's voters is going to be so overwhelming that it will overcome their cheating. But remember, you got to come out and vote. Now, I want to go to an article here, and it's from Zero Hedge. And it's about election interference from foreign countries. And the headline says, Trump files formal complaint of election interference against the United Kingdom's Labour Party. Former President Donald Trump's campaign has filed a complaint with the Election Commission, accusing the UK's Labour Party of making illegal foreign campaign contributions and interfering in the 2024 presidential elections after its volunteers allegedly traveled to the United States to help campaign for Vice President Kamala Harris. And this all stems from a tweet from Sophia Patel, the head of operations at the Labour Party. And in the tweet she says, I have nearly 100 Labour Party staff going to the U.S. in the next few weeks, heading to North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. I have 10 spots available for anyone available to head to the battleground state of North Carolina. We will sort your housing. Email me at if you're interested. Thanks. So the international establishment does not want Donald Trump. And we all knew that. The globalists do not want Donald Trump. And to me, this is clear that this is election interference from a foreign country. And this is an indication of the desperation of the globalists. England's going to send their troops into the battleground states to help Kamala Harris because Donald Trump is a threat to the New World Order. Okay, I want to read one last article, and this is from the New York Post. And the headline says, Migrant crisis cost $150 billion in 2023, forcing some areas to cut police and fire services. It says here, the eye-watering financial cost of the migrant crisis hit $150 billion last year and is causing devastating consequences for residents of hard-hit cities struggling to cope with the influx, the New York Post has learned. This has left huge holes in city budgets, meaning cutbacks for regular U.S. citizens, including in Denver, a plan to cut $45 million from its budget, including $8.4 million from its police department and $2.5 million from its fire department, in order to pay an estimated $90 million bill for migrants. New York City is spending $2.3 billion in costs for housing migrants alone in 2023 and 2024, resulting in city agencies having to cut costs by 5%. In South Portland, Maine, property taxes have increased to pay for the migrant crisis, and the mayor has advised elderly residents to remortgage their houses in order to pay for them. Now, isn't that a kick in the shin? Chicago faces a $1 billion budget gap, partly to cover migrant services, which it is now scrambling to make up. And this particularly perturbs Americans because these illegal migrants are living the American dream paid for by you and me. They get free housing, free schooling, free health care, a stipend to pay for groceries. Meanwhile, Americans are struggling. They don't even live the lifestyle that the Kamala Harris government is providing for these migrants. Americans are struggling with high inflation. Young people can't afford housing. Good jobs are not there for them. Yet we're paying the way for these illegal migrants to live a pretty good life. And it's a question of fairness, and that's not fair to the American people. And with that said, thank you for listening. You have a good week, and I will talk to you next Saturday.